Many travelers are suffering at the airport today as security wait times stretch longer than usual, in part due to a lack of staffing. TSA workers are calling out. They are under pressure from working without pay because of the month-long partial government shutdown. The transportation secretary says 300 TSA agents have actually quit. Union officials add that members just missed their second paycheck in the second government shutdown that they've had to endure in less than 6 months.
To be quite frank, officers are pissed off. And we're not just talking about here in Atlanta, we're talking about nationwide. The officers are pissed off. They want this to end. They're ready to get back to some normalcy or some consistency within their lives. It's very different this time because of the close proximity to the previous shutdown, the 34-day shutdown. So the resources and things that were available, they're just not there anymore.
Let's go now to CNN's Ryan Young, who is at Atlanta International Airport. And Ryan, we understand that things have improved a little since we last spoke to you a couple hours ago.
Yeah, they have improved just a little bit. If you look here, you can see the main checkpoint has finally opened up. If you were thinking about coming to this airport right now, would be a good time. We know people have been showing up extra early, 3-4 hours early, to try to make sure they can catch some of their flights. But this has been very painful. We've seen people miss international flights. We've seen flight cancel, people be in tears. A lot of times when you look at this line, this has been some of the longest lines we've seen. Take a listen to some of the passengers we spoke to throughout the day. So what was your reaction when you turned the corner?
Oh my God, are these the lines for TSA? That's crazy.
This is insane.
We had to wait like an hour to even check our bags, and it was like a 2-minute process. I could like punch through a wall right now.
It's ridiculously frustrating. And then to know that, and it's not their fault because they're not getting paid and they're going to come in here. I wouldn't do it either. But just adds to the layers of your frustration, adds to the layers of you're just trying to buy your time back, have a little piece of vacation from the Matrix, and the Matrix still gets you.
Yeah, Brianna, there is a truck downstairs that's actually giving away free food. There's a line of TSA workers who are getting bottles of water, peanut butter, bread. They're picking this up to take home to their families. So you understand the pain point there. People have to pay bills. That's not happening. We were told this morning by police officers that between the hours of 3 and 5, one of the reasons why the security lanes had to be shut down is because so few TSA workers showed up. This is one of the main lines, and it's gotten so busy here that they had to open up this second line right here for it to go down. And we're even told there's another whole lane downstairs that's still shut down. The good news is right now, if you were trying to get onto a flight, it is easy breezy to go through. The concern, though, is when the shift change happens a little later this afternoon, whether or not we could still see that same buildup, especially on the international side. Just a lot going on here. On top of all that, the weather that you guys have been talking about has been impacting flights, over 100 cancellations, so people are really fit to be tied.
TSA agents are working without pay due to the partial government shutdown, and these TSA agents are either calling out or quitting. 61,000 of them just went their first weekend without a full paycheck. Let's bring in TSA agent Johnny Jones. He's also the Secretary-Treasurer of the American Federation of Government Employees TSA Council 100, which represents more than 44,000 TSA officers. Johnny, thanks for joining us. The law, of course, requires federal employees to get back pay once the shutdown ends. But according to Airlines for America, TSA workers make an average salary of $35,000. So I would think this situation for TSA officers who work paycheck to paycheck is pretty dire. What are you hearing from TSA workers?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show today. And I would like to talk to you about the fact that they make such a low salary and they do live paycheck to paycheck. One of the things that people need to understand is that folks they're borrowing money, they're taking out loans, they're selling things. Most of the time they're doing this at a loss, and there's no compensation, there's no recourse for that for the TSA officers. They're also struggling. They don't have money for daycare, childcare, gas, food, and many other things, as they've almost went a full month without a full paycheck because the last paycheck they received was so small it was almost inconsequential.
So the reason this is happening is because Democrats in the Senate refuse to pass the Homeland Security funding bill until changes are made to Customs and Border Patrol and ICE actions. So Republicans blame Democrats. Democrats have put forward legislation that would pay TSA agents, just not ICE or Customs and Border Patrol. How do TSA agents see this? Who do they blame?
They blame both parties because regardless of who's in charge or this time or that time, for the last 5 months, TSA officers have endured 3 shutdowns. The second one was kind of short. So regardless of the party, they are blaming both sides because they are not negotiating, and they haven't even passed a continuing resolution so people can continue to negotiate without with the people being paid. So the workforce is sick and tired of being political pawns in the middle of these games and unfortunately we are the chess pieces, not just the TSA officers but the other our colleagues in the Coast Guard and FEMA and other agencies that are not being paid, and it's struggling.
DSH, sorry, the Department of Homeland Security says more than 300 TSA agents have quit so far. Are you expecting that number to rise if the shutdown continues for weeks, months more? If so, by how much?
Well, I can tell you one thing. If people aren't going to get paid, one or two things is going to happen. They're either going to leave their post and quit, or they're going to call out and say they're unable to come to work due to financial concerns. So without a doubt, those numbers are going to skyrocket like a ship going into the outer space because eventually you don't have any funds, you don't have a place to live, and you don't have gas to put in your car.
Many are coping with eviction notices, vehicle repossessions, empty refrigerators, and overdrawn bank accounts. Every available financial option has been exhausted. Yet, these officers are still coming to work to protect the traveling public.
Joining me now is Michael Konopasek, spokesman for the Denver International Airport. The airport actually sent out a tweet recently looking for gas and grocery gift cards for TSA workers. So I want to ask you about that just to start out. I mean, can you just tell me what drove the decision to make you all say, well, we actually should be requesting gift cards and donations for some of these TSA workers?
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me on. You know, we work with these TSA workers. We know them, we see them every day, and we know that they're struggling right now. They're coming to work, they're not getting paid. And so the last time that this government shutdown happened, we stood up a food pantry. And this time, the leadership at Denver International Airport met with local TSA leadership to try to figure out exactly what would be needed this time. And that's where we determined that the gas cards and also the grocery store gift cards would be most helpful during this time. So we put the call out. We have a drop box in the center of the terminal over at our cell phone lot. And we were confident and now pleased to see that the community is really stepping up and they are providing these gift cards to help these TSA workers.
And as I understand, you correct me if I'm wrong, in that the previous shutdown, obviously it stretched for a record amount of time and we still saw some of the same missed paychecks, things like that. What makes this one different enough to where you all felt you needed to cross that threshold? Well, we actually need to step in and help some of these workers out ourselves.
Yeah, well, we learn things, of course, when we experience them, right? And so the food pantry we thought was helpful. It was a success. We did see a lot of gratitude from our TSA colleagues, but this allows more flexibility, right? If you have the gift card, you can go ahead and get exactly what you want from the grocery store, what your family might need. And also the gas gift cards make a big difference as well, because again, they're coming to work, they're not being paid, and they need to get to work. So we thought that would be the most helpful.
And on the consumer and flyer side of things, obviously there have been effects that have trickled down to them. Every airport has seen sort of its version of effects from the shutdown in their own ways. I was looking at Denver's wait times. They seem to be okay right now. But can you just put into perspective a little bit the impact this has had on your airport and sort of how these other airports are interconnected with your operations there?
Yeah, so we have been seeing reports just like everyone else from across the country where there have been issues with longer lines. Thankfully, we have not been experiencing that in Denver. Our TSA workers are showing up to work here in Denver, but of course, it's a day-by-day situation, right? And the longer this goes on, the more unknowns as we push forward through this. And we want to make sure that they have what they need to be able to get to work and be supported. But right now, yeah, if you were to go to flydenver.com right now, you would see minimal wait times, 5 minutes at the most to get through right now. And that has typically been what we have been seeing throughout this partial government shutdown.
But as you talk about, those dynamics are ones that are pretty fragile right now, can change from day to day, and of course going from location to location. Obviously at the center of this is this stalled debate over DHS, ICE reform, things like that. Do you have a message to lawmakers right now who have not been able to move forward with negotiations, but at the same time are affecting operations like yours, both in the form of workers and travelers every day?
What we can say is, we can't control what happens in Washington. Of course, we don't like seeing this. We don't want to have the TSA workers not receiving paychecks. But what we can control is what we can do to try to help them right here, right now. And so that is where we felt the need to go ahead and put out a press release, talk to you all. And again, thanks for helping us spread the word to make sure that people, when they're at the airport, before they get to the airport, they know that they can bring those gift cards with them if they desire, and there will be a place where they'll be able to donate those gift cards. And for those outside of the Denver metro, we would encourage those people to reach out to their local airports and see perhaps if they have something going on and what they might be doing to help the TSA workers.